The clock is ticking on this year's Minnesota State legislative session as politicians try to get things finished up. And with momentum on marijuana legalization, one North Metro city has come up with a Cannabis Road Map.
In Circle Pines, politicians are expecting grass to get a pass at the state capitol in St. Paul. The prospect of marijuana being legal is why the city drew up its own cannabis regulations at a recent council meeting.
If the legislature should pass this, and it sort of looks like they will, then the city of Circle Pines needs to be ready to have in place sort of our local rules and regulations on how it works. You know, you don't operate just as a city of 5,000 people in the middle of nowhere. How do we take what's worked best in other places and make it work for our community and our people? Knowing that we're not necessarily going to be able to please everybody, but at least it's a smart, thought-out kind of policy and plan.
The plan looks like this. Minimum age for buying marijuana, 21. Cost of getting a license to sell cannabis, $100 plus background fees. The penalty for selling grass to a minor, $1,000 for the first offense, $1,500 for the second, and $2,000 for the third. Marijuana will not be available in liquor stores. The new state law will set the parameters regarding where cannabis can be sold in proximity to certain places.
A city needs to think about things like, where would you want these stores or dispensaries to be? Maybe not too close to a school, maybe not too close to a church. So we looked at this as a licensing issues. People have to be licensed, like any business in town would be licensed. That way, if they do stuff wrong, if they're not obeying law, we have some way to work with them and say, hey, if you don't straighten up, we're going to pull your license.
Circle Pines has taken a micro and macro view of legalized cannabis. Their laws are patterned after some North Metro cities and Colorado, where marijuana has been legal since 2012.
So we wanted to make sure that all of our laws are somewhat similar or pretty similar. What works in these other places, the Denvers and the suburbs and stuff, so that when we come along, it's not we're just trying something. We're often looking at what has actually worked best.
Circle Pines has been bracing for this marijuana moment for months and just wants to avoid any potholes down the road.
So we believe now by passing this that we're in a good position for whatever the legislature does.
However, Circle Pines is not expecting legalized cannabis to be a windfall.
We don't see this really as a revenue stream at all. We see it as we should definitely recoup our costs. There's no reason taxpayers out of the general fund should have to pay for this.
Mayor Dave Bartholomew says if the state has other rules and stipulations in the legislation, Circle Pines will need to review their laws to sync up with Minnesota regulations.